did any more harm than, well. So anyway, if you watched it, um, I watched it. I guess I have a civic responsibility, but um, I'm gonna be honest with you. I was between that and the Liberty, and who did Liberty play last night? The Liberty and the Aces. Yeah, and I think Liberty went up 2-0. Moves back to Vegas now. Like I said, don't sleep on the WNBA. Those young ladies are balling. Last night on PBS, they did an excellent documentary called "The Vice President," and I think they did it in conjunction with the. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Thank you. They did it in conjunction with the vice presidential debates last night between Governor Walz and Senator Vance. And it was very fascinating because there's some things, obviously, I don't know everything. There was some things that I did not know about the vice presidency. And I don't know if you remember during the end of the Trump administration when he was getting so unhinged and folks didn't really know what was happening. And people said they should invoke the 25th Amendment. So I want to talk about what the 25th Amendment is to the Constitution. And I'm trying to think. I wasn't old enough to vote when they voted on this. So the 25th Amendment to the United States Constitution addresses issues related to presidential succession and disability. It clarifies that the vice president becomes president if the president dies, resigns, or is removed from office by impeachment. It also establishes the procedure for filling a vacancy in the office of the vice presidency. Additionally, the amendment provided for temporary transfer of presidential powers and duties to the vice president, either on the president's initiative alone or on the initiative of the vice president together with a majority of the president's cabinet. And remember, that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to evoke the 25th Amendment, but they didn't have enough votes in Trump's cabinet in order to remove him from office. In either case, the vice president becomes the acting president until the president's power and duties are restored. I do remember a couple of times, I think, was it the original Bush, George W.H. Bush, or was it George Bush? But someone went in for a medical procedure. And when they went in for the medical procedure, they temporarily gave power to the vice president. At that time, that would have been, if it was the first Bush, that would have been Quayle. If it's second Bush, it would have been Cheney. Yeah, he was being put under. So he was incapacitated. And if your enemies were aware of that, they could launch an attack, and you need a commander in chief to be able to direct the military. The amendment was submitted to the states on July 6, 1965, by the 89th Congress, and was adopted on February 10th, 1967, the day that the requisite number of states, 38, ratified it. So there have been, I think, 16. I'm going to get you the exact number here. 16 vice presidents who assumed the office of president. Most of them assumed the office of president based on the death of the president. But I think the first one was Tyler, who came in for, was it William Harrison, who died maybe a couple of months after his inauguration. So yeah, it started with John Tyler. He succeeded in 1841 William Henry Harrison, who died in office. It had been previously been suggested that the vice president would become acting president upon the president's death, but the vice president, John Tyler, asserted that he had succeeded to the presidency instead of merely assuming its powers and duties. He also declined to acknowledge documents referring to him as acting president. They said, as a matter of fact, if they mailed something to him as acting president, he wouldn't open up the envelope, regardless of who it came from. Although Tyler felt his voice his vice presidential activated any need for presidential oath, he was persuaded that being formally sworn in would resolve any doubts. Accordingly, he took the oath, and title of president without any qualifiers, moved into the White House and assumed full presidential powers. Though Tyler was sometimes derided as accident, his accidency, both houses of Congress adopted a resolution confirming that he was president. The Tyler precedent of secession was thus established. And subsequently, you had Vice Presidents Millard Fillmore, 1850, Andrew Jackson, 1865, Chester A. Arthur, 1881, Theodore Roosevelt, 1901, Calvin Coolidge, 1923, Harry S. Truman, 1945, and Lyndon Johnson, 1963, were all deemed to have become presidents on the death of incumbent presidents. And then they talk about presidents who were incapacitated while they were in office. Grover Cleveland secretly had cancer surgery in 1893. Woodrow Wilson had a stroke in 1919, and this is famously that his wife and secretary were running the country, Edith Wilson, and they kept it secret. And I don't know if you heard a little bit of this, and they were talking about how Kamala Harris and others have been keeping Joe Biden's diminished capacity secret. And then up to 1967, the office of vice president had become vacant 16 times when the vice president died or resigned or succeeded to the presidency. The vacancy created when Andrew Johnson succeeded Abraham Lincoln after the assassination. And then later, Johnson was impeached by the House of Representatives and came up one vote short of being removed from office in the Senate. Had Johnson been removed, and this is what's real interesting. And one of the things, I don't know if you all are looking at, because I know this is the weeds and it seems like inside baseball, but if after the November 5th election, if there is a electoral college tie, then it's thrown into the House of Representatives. And the House of Representatives, this current Congress, would then vote on who the president is. If you have a situation where both the president and the vice president are removed, die from office, then the Speaker of the House assumes the presidency. The Speaker of the House assumes the presidency because that is after even the president, you don't vote directly, but it's more representative of the will of the people. And so what you will have is then they will assume if that person cannot.
The speaker becomes that because
the vice president
of the majority, because the speaker is only
he's the majority.
The speaker because of the majority.
Right. Yeah. So they'd have the majority. So right. If it's a Republican speaker, he or she would then assume the presidency. That would be if both the president and the vice president are, let's say they both die, God forbid. Then it would be, so if something happened to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and that's one of the reasons why it's rare that you ever see the president and the vice president travel on the same plane, because if you take out the plane, you take out the leadership of the country. And I was just thinking, based on the situation they're having right now in Lebanon with Iran, and what Israel has done, starting off with the pagers blowing up and then the walkie-talkies blowing up, the assassination of Hamas leaders, leaders of Hezbollah, that you have a situation where the president of Iran a couple of months ago was flying and his plane crashed. And the first thing people thought was, well, was this an assassination? And upon investigation, they found out, no, it was faulty equipment, which brought the plane down. So you have that, and now who assumes presidency? So getting back to this whole piece of why this is so important was prior to that, you would have where I think when Grover Cleveland assumed office of the presidency, until the next election, there was no president. No vice president. That happened with Lyndon Johnson in '63 after the Kennedy assassination, which then precipitated they need to be able to come up with a mechanism to be able then to, if a vice president, and this became an issue under Richard Nixon, because people forget that his vice president was Spiro Agnew, Spiro Agnew had been charged with bribery and corruption based on, and he was still in the White House, but starting when he was governor of Maryland. And so they cut a deal allowing him to resign. And then, because of the 25th Amendment, Richard Nixon then selected Gerald Ford. Gerald Ford then had to go before Congress. Congress overwhelmingly approved Gerald Ford. And so for the first time, you saw the 25th Amendment used, because it's not only dealing with presidential secession and incapacitability, being incapacitated, it also then said, how do we select a vice president if the vice presidency is vacant? And so then what happens? Richard Nixon is forced to resign because of Watergate. Gerald Ford assumes the presidency, and then Gerald Ford selected Nelson Rockefeller to fulfill or complete his term as vice president. So we were watching it last night. There were, and I don't know if people knew the background of why the importance of the vice presidency. And usually it is, the joke is that the vice president takes trips and checks regularly with the White House physician to see what the health of the president is. Now, there have been some vice presidents who've had sweeping powers given to them by the president. We can think of Dick Cheney under the Bush administration in the first term of the Bush administration. He had enormous power as a vice president. Al Gore had enormous power as vice president under Bill Clinton. He was then charged with the whole issue of climate, and which precipitated him, once he was out of office, writing the best-selling book and then doing the documentary Inconvenient Truth. And so it's important. So we were watching it last night. Nobody, it's the vice president. He or she is the person that goes out and they just kind of support the ticket, which gets us back to the debate last night. I don't think any major damage was done to either candidate. So let's just be fair, either ticket. If anybody thought that J.D. Vance at the end, when they were asking him a question about January 6th, was going to do anything other than a talking point, you're deceiving yourself. And even if he felt differently, he was not going to publicly say that he disagreed or he took a very different position than Donald Trump. One of the commentators I heard this morning in doing the Wednesday morning quarterbacking and critique said that J.D. Vance does a better job of presenting, as crazy as the policy is, whatever it is that Donald Trump and the Republicans are doing in terms of what their policy positions are. And so he does have a very, very, very smooth presentation when it comes to him getting out. But I wonder if he got frustrated early on because they were fact checking him real time, and he got a little frustrated with that. The fact that blatant lying as a politician now is acceptable kind of tells you where we are in terms of our politics, where in the past, for some, that might have been a disqualifier. Today, for some, that is not even the case. You can point out that, for example, in the first presidential debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, they identified 39 lies that Donald Trump told in 90 minutes. In the debate with Kamala Harris, Donald Trump told 33 lies in 90 minutes. So I don't know if they fact checked J.D. Vance last night to see how many lies that he told. But it's really fascinating. I don't think it moved the needle. It's rare that vice presidents are able to really move the ticket one way or the other. A lot of times, it used to be in the past that they called it balancing the presidential ticket, where you would have maybe someone who was Northern, and they would then couple them with someone from the South. One of the exceptions to that ticket balancing was Bill Clinton and Al Gore. They were both Southerners. And then they were able to win in 92 and win again in 96. So it says a lot. And then just to look at where we are in terms of how the election maps are changing. I just saw something where um, Waukesha County now, based on the type of people that are moving to Waukesha County, means that it's not as blue as it was 4 years ago. Joe Biden did relatively well in Waukesha County, relatively well for a Democrat in what they call a very, very blue county. So we have the wild counties, which is Washington, Ozaukee, Waukesha. Those are in terms of proximity to Milwaukee, they are considered Republican strongholds. And I have yet to do my trip, but I am going to do my trip where I drive purposely to those counties and to see how many Harris Walls signs I will see, and then how many Trump signs I will see. There's an indicator. And I'm always amused when I drive through certain neighborhoods and you see all these Harris Wall signs, and then right there you'll see a Trump sign or you'll see a Hubby sign. But in Milwaukee, I would think that in the city of Milwaukee, maybe 90%. Somebody tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe 90% of the people who are going to vote are probably going to vote Democrat in Milwaukee, the city of Milwaukee. Might be a little bit different as we go out to the suburbs, and depending on the suburb where you look, the further and further away we get from the city, the more and more conservative and blue are the voting patterns. Phone lines open 414 444 5250. 414 444 5250. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Just a couple of things. That's kind of off topic here, just for a moment. Uh, we didn't get a call from Phoenix on Monday. No, we didn't get a call yesterday from Phoenix. Normally he's checking in and hating on the Packers, and he did a great job of that Monday morning. But I didn't hear from him yesterday, and I wonder was it because the Seahawks got spanked by the Lions on
never get
Monday?
those calls.
Yeah,
I got a cousin who religiously he calls me like day after a Packer loss, and it's like, "Hey man, just call him back on you, man. How you doing?" No, that's not why you called me. Man.
Oh yeah.
So I don't hear from him when we get a big win or nothing like that. He
Oh,
doesn't
man.
call. But as soon as we lose, he wants to check on me, and he's a Cowboy fan. So like, how many times do I get to reciprocate?
Okay. All right. I don't know. I'm getting a little frustrated with Cowboy fans. I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, outside of Texas, non-Latinos. I'm getting really, really frustrated.
Non-Latinos.
I know why the Chicano brothers and sisters are down with the Cowboys, but I'm trying to figure out some of y'all and sisters. I have sisters coming up, they Cowboy fans.
America's team.
America's
really?
team.
Who did them that?
Ah,
That's something sound like Jerry Jones put that together.
Mr. Jerry Jones. What did he say? He said, now people can protest, but my team better not protest. And for the first time, I think
Massa Jones.
Yeah, somebody has said that the NFL is the last plantation.
Yeah, I've heard it.
And so now I have to sit here and deal with my contradictory feelings as it relates to white supremacy and all those other things. But I'm also a football fan.
Right.
And so I don't know. I know that there are some who are saying that, we should not be supporting of the Shield, being supportive of the Shield for a lot of different reasons. But look, hey, for the Super Bowl this year, they're doing Kendrick Lamar.
So you're going to be watching?
I probably won't.
Why?
I don't know, based on Super Bowl halftime shows, if we should have someone as serious as Kendrick Lamar as the headliner for the halftime show. And let's just be honest, more than half the people at the Super Bowl and watching the Super Bowl have no clue to who Kendrick Lamar is. And I understand, isn't that's Jay-Z, right? I don't know. I don't know if the Super Bowl is the place for serious thinking performers. I just don't know. So anyway, Phoenix phone lines open, man. You can call in, tell us what happened to those Seahawks on Monday night. I will never, ever, ever, ever. Of course, there's always the exception. We'll never, ever cheer for the Seahawks. Ever. Never. I won't. They broke the Packers' heart. Too many heartbreaks related to Seattle. I'm just kind of getting cool with the Eagles. So, because again, one of the worst days in the history of Packer football happened in Philadelphia in the playoffs, and one Brett Favre. Everybody kind of blames it on whoever the defensive coordinator was at that point, who called, I think it was the famous 4th and 26 game. Yeah. And he called the defense for 4th and 27. And then, things happen. Packers get the ball back. And the first throw from Brett Favre is an interception, which allows Philly to drive and kick the game-winning field goal. I had never been so despondent. I had never been so depressed watching a sporting event. I just couldn't. This was
you celebrating already. We got this one.
Yeah.
There's no way they're gonna give up 4th and 26.
4th and 26, man. How do you do that?
There's no way they're gonna do that.
Right. Right. Yeah, but they did. They did. They did.
That was Reggie White was on that team.
Reggie White was on that team. Exactly. Reggie White was on that team. It didn't really matter because whoever the defensive coordinator was, that was just like the worst call ever. And let me do this before we get back to being serious. And then, of course, there is the collapse in Seattle. My brother-in-law jinxed me. He texts me at halftime, and anybody knows no one talks to me during a Packer game. That is anybody that's my friend. No, my mama had died for you to call me during a Packer game, and that I'm going to respond. He texted me at halftime. He said, "Hey, brother-in-law, look like you on the way to the Super Bowl." I didn't respond. I'm going, all right, and I was feeling that way up until about the 4.5 minute mark, left in the game, and we saw one of the worst collapse ever. It wasn't quite the Falcons in the Super Bowl against the Patriots, right. But if you're a Packer fan, that was. And we just had some bad experiences in Seattle. The the officials on strike, and that's the famous Fail Mary play where it was obvious that the ball was intercepted. And you know what happened? Next week, we had the regular officials back.
Right.
And integrity.
They knew that was a
big call. How many gamblers, man? I mean, that's the other thing. People don't, the NFL has always act like they've been so against gambling. I remember Alex Karras back in the day got suspended for gambling. I think Paul Hornung got suspended for gambling. So there was a history. But at the same time, there's a reason why they do the injury reports. Those injury reports are for betting, right? Who's playing today and who plays today could determine what the outcome of that game could be. So they've always had this, and now we're dealing with gambling, and now gambling is so ubiquitous. I mean, it's just everything.
I thank you for enlightening me. I thought the injury report was to be fair to the other team as far as matchups. I never thought that it was for gambling.
That's the premise, but it's for gamblers. It is. I mean, because like I said, it's for gamblers. Who's playing? It makes the whole thing. And now, to the point that gambling is so intertwined in everything we're doing. I don't know if you notice now, you see it in baseball, you see it in football. Depending on who you're watching, they'll give you probability to win. That's a gambling line. I
saw that last night.
Yeah, that's a gambling line.
No, that was Monday night. Monday night I saw it. Yeah.
And based on the score of the game.
No, that was last night.
Last night too.
In the Brewer game.
In the Brewer game, right?
97% probability to win.
And then it shifted when the Mets started scoring because now it went to them. So you got that in real time. That gambling thing is, for many, many years we had a prohibition. And here's the issue. I don't have a problem personally with gambling. I don't gamble. I just don't have a problem with it. I don't know how to do it. And also it's a game of chance. But when you look at the number of people who are dealing with gambling addictions, it can get pretty bad. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Keith, Steve-O, and Parris.
Good morning. You sound like you're down in a hole there.
Okay. I'm not a fanatic.
We can't hear you.
I said I love sports, but I'm not a fanatic of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I like when the Green Bay Packers win, and I like a good play. And yeah, I do like Dallas, but whatever. So what I am calling about is the debate last night. I thought that it was really key how Trump's vice president did not answer the question, would he accept the outcome? And Trump is already telling people when they asked him, would you accept? He said, I'll let you know after the election. So we have a problem there. And I think for people to still say that they're on the fence, I don't know what's wrong with them, but that's okay. But this thing that's happening at the Black Historical Society, for people that really want to know the history and dig in deep and really make a sound decision, they should show up and hear and ask questions from people that have some knowledge of it. And don't go to just one source. Go to many sources. Because this election is so important. And I pray that, number one, we don't wind up in World War III over this that's going on over in the Middle East. And you know something? I read my scripture every morning and pray. And one thing is very clear. The Jews wanted to be special. They wanted to be the special people of Jesus, that they were number one. So this thing that we have, wanting to be first and superior, is nothing new. They wanted to be better than the Gentiles. That's all of us that are not by birth Jews. And that's not it. Because we serve a just God, it's for what's right. And so the more we look at things, it's not about popularity. But you know something? When you put something in the office of the President of the United States of America, they have to have character. I think that is so critically important. So do your research, get out there and vote, because it is critical.
So let me ask you a question. When you use the term character, how would you define character?
Character to me shows if I walked up and saw someone being mistreated or misrepresented or something, or a fight going on, 3 people jumping on one person. I've always been that person growing up, and my brothers thought, look, you're going to get us killed because you jumping in trying to stop something that you're not big as a minute. So anyway, character, you stand up for what's right.
3 doing the beating.
What are you saying?
I said, I'll join the 3 doing the beating. I get on the winning team.
I didn't hear you.
I said, I would join the 3 that are doing the beating. I get on the winning team.
What? Keith, I know you didn't say that. You mean to say you would go for the one that 3 people are beating up one?
They're winning.
Keith, this is another thing I want to bring up from yesterday. Kids are being bullied on the playground every day.
Yes, I know.
About how they look, how they dress, how they speak, where they live. We should set a better example. Now, that guy that was singing that thing about eating dogs and whatever, I thought that was really cool that he came up with it. And then we got on the thing about what he looked like. I thought that was a little low blow. I'm not interested in what you look like. I'm interested in what you're doing. I know he can stand up for himself, but our kids are dealing with stuff every day. And I think even as a joke, at the end of it, you should let them know, hey, right's right, wrong is wrong.
Right.
If you that bad, it should be a 1-on-1, not 3-on-1.
Yeah, and chances are I wouldn't join.
Sure you would.
Come on, Keith. Your first, what you said first was true.
Go with what he told you first. Believe that one.
And just like Trump's vice president, when you go from one extreme to the other, I'm leery of you. I don't want you on my team.
But we're getting back to what is character.
Okay.
And I'm joking, obviously.
I know you are.
I'm sure you are.
And I will be at the NAACP dinner. So you posted a number of things that I have attended, and I noticed you do stay right on, keep things moving. I hope you do that.
Oh man, because I'd be such a hypocrite to come in here as I do every week, complaining about some event I went to where it just got long, and and I'm just sitting up going on and on and on and on. But let's get it done. I mean, I don't understand why it takes us so long to do things, but it is what it is.
But I mean, every now and then I expect for you to interject something, but don't take it, as a time to, be on the
no. I really have hired the some writers, and so hopefully I'll have some great jokes.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully,
make sure that they're more than funny than just to you.
What?
I'm just kidding.
Why would they be funny? If they're funny to me, why would they be funny to everybody?
And enjoy the time.
Just maybe you have a warped sense of humor.
Oh,
Keith, maybe you.
Yeah, make sure your wife laughs at them first.
Some jokes are good. It's just that if you don't deliver them properly,
right?
You got to set them up, and
there
the timing
you go.
has to be there. That's
Devo and Cardi before
good.
you get up there.
Yeah, try them out on me first, Keith. And I'll let you
There
know,
you
man.
go.
I'll be like,
And Michelle.
yeah, don't do that one.
Okay.
There was this preacher, and a person
Well,
came up to
anyway.
him wanted to talk about burying his dog.
Tell that one.
Tell
Let's see
that
how
one?
you.
Okay.
Let's see.
Oh, tell which joke?
Now, tell it to her and see if she catches it. Go ahead. He's going to
Oh
tell you a
no.
joke. No, it's a good one. Check it out. Go ahead, Keith.
And let me preface it by saying I love, and I do truly, thank God for the Church of God in Christ. This was, I think it was Bishop J.O. Patterson who told this particular story. So one of the preach brethren of mine came up to me, and he was telling me this story, and he said how the colleague of his, one of his parishioners, had come up and said, Pastor, can you do my dog's funeral? The pastor, no, I preach holiness. I'm preaching holiness. I don't do no dog's funeral. What's wrong with you? You done lost your mind. The guy said, well, I'm disappointed. We had taken out a $25,000 insurance policy on the dog, and we had earmarked $2,500 for his funeral. And the pastor said, why didn't you tell me that was a Church of God in Christ dog?
Oh my God. Oh no. But you know something? That I'm telling you, it's got a ring of truth. It's gonna leave
Well, that's why he told the story.
It don't have to be Church of God in Christ. You
It
could
could have been a
use
Baptist.
There you go. There you
church
go.
dog.
So I wouldn't just put it on Church of God. in Christ.
No.
That's
I do it because, first of all, I appreciate. Look, I one of the things I do in my life, I am constantly mining sources for information, stories. I mean, it's just because there's some people out there just so profound. I never had a chance. No, really, they are, and I never really had a chance to hear.
Yeah, they so holy. I don't even understand. Their nose is so far up in the air until it's just ridiculous.
Yep. But no, I think in the point that the bishop was making, he said, so what was the difference? He said money.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
If you're a tither and you attend church and you participate, when you get ready for your loved one to pass, do you have to pay the pastor for that?
I wish.
Or is that something, a gratuity you give to him from the kindness of your heart? Are they charging you an amount?
Well, now the way I understand it is typically if you're a tithe-paying member there, you and I brought this up once before, but the way I understand that it should be, because I've seen it go differently. You as the member, now if you're trying to do it for a family member or something like that, they still could honor the fact that you're a member there and you're in
No,
need.
that's different.
But okay, so then we'll keep it down to you pass away, your family should not be paying for your services to be there. Now, if you want to give the pastor a love offering, you can, but that should not be stipulated.
Because I've heard some stories where the pastor does charge.
It shouldn't be stipulated. It just shouldn't be.
Okay, thank you so much, and you guys have a really great day.
You too. You laughing when I said that now,
but I know it's real talk.
But what's your feeling about it? Because I've seen it go both ways.
Let me. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna do this at 35,000. Well, I'll do my own personal experience. What I have discovered is that families are very generous for funerals.
Yeah, you catching them in an hour of weakness.
No, they're just. I think it has a different level of gravity, and so there's a woman, she passed last year, I think, and I did her funeral. Now I grew up with her daughter, and we've known each other since we were And part of the problem is some of my mother said, they said that one of the benefits and one of the deficits is that people know you, right? Or they think they know you, or they remember you when you were little Keith. And so somehow they may or may not acknowledge that there's probably been some progress made in terms of maturity and other things in your life. And and I can tell you with my own experience, the families will ask, well, what do you charge? And my response is always, well, whatever the family feels appropriate. So my good friend, she, so right after, so it really depends on when they give you the envelope. And so I think I did a pretty good job with her mama's eulogy.
Mm.
But I think she waited to after
To see how well you're doing.
I had this strange feeling she was kind of waiting to see how it turned out. Now, let me give you the flip side of this, and this is why I don't do them anymore. I am not going to do your wedding. I'm not going to do your wedding. I'm just not going to do it. Because people, like I said, when it comes to, and I can't speak for the experience of all ministers, rabbis, or imams, and I don't know what their traditions are when it comes to that. I could tell you, though, and I love all African people all over the world, I can tell you that Negroes will pay the DJ more than they will pay the minister.
No, they don't.
Oh, yeah, they do.
No.
If you get paid.
No. I'm telling you, man, you know, when you I can't believe you threw the DJ under the bus, because trust me, they want you to stay there all day, entertain, play the music, do the garter belt thing, you know, this whole nine.
Okay.
And they don't want to pay you no money, man. They pay more for the bride's dress than they want to pay.
I have seen DJs,
the photographer, everybody gets shorted. The money gets funny
like,
when they start trying to pay the other people.
Yeah, well, I'm just telling you that, and I just stopped doing it because, first of all, it's a little bit different when I'm doing your wedding. And then sometimes these people are not even members of a church that I'm a part of. I have to come to your wedding rehearsal, and then I have to be there to do the, you know, the exchange of vows. And so I'm just saying that's time.
Man, I did a wedding and I never did get paid.
Oh, I got a plethora.
Oh no, I ain't got no plethora.
I got a plethora.
And
people avoiding you, but I'm going, you just dropped $750 on the DJ.
They ain't together no more and they ain't married no more. I said that's no better for them. And they started out wrong.
Don't be hating on them, but yeah,
I hated on them. Yeah. His sister told me, I said, how's he doing, him and his wife? Man, they ain't been together in a long time. I said, good.
And I'm not superstitious, but you know, I wonder about some of the people that I have performed their nuptials, and they're not together. And I don't know.
I had a guy say, check this out. That's one of the best weddings I did too, man. They spent a lot of money on that wedding. They didn't change no words with my price, the whole nine. They flew up. In fact, the reception was out on Good Hope out there at the Elks Lodge. And great food and the whole nine. And spent a lot of money on the dress, and it was just beautiful. And man, they left out that evening and flew out to Vegas. They come back that Monday. He moved out that Tuesday, and they ain't been together since.
Now let me ask you a question. How long had they been living together before they got married?
Yeah.
How many years?
Couple, 3 years.
Big difference.
But see, I'm not going to tell you on the air why he told me.
Okay.
That he decided he wanted to leave, but it's interesting. We'll talk about it.
No, but you know, and that's the whole piece about, you know, and we don't. Do you hear this preached as much? You don't hear preaching talk about shacking up. Now I was in the 80s and 90s. That's all I was hearing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they shack it up. Living in sin, shack it up.
Oh yeah.
And I tell people that there is a difference between living with somebody and being married and living with somebody. Yeah. And if you don't think there's a difference, try it.
Oh, I know.
And so what happens is, especially if people have been together 8 years, 7 years, you know, they've been living together, and now let's make it official. Let's get married. Make an honest man or honest woman. And then you come to find out, ooh, that's a whole different animal. Marriage is a different animal. And I tell people I'm agnostic when it comes to marriage. If you find a person that you think that you can build a life with, and y'all can get through all the things that you need to get through, because when people come by and we be doing the counseling before they get married, I'd ask them, why you get married? Because I love him. That ain't going to be enough. I'm just sorry. I know you think you got enough love. And that's the other thing. People find out now, because there is a legal responsibility that one has, that it changes the whole ball game. It changes the whole ball game. So I would hear people argue about, oh man, it's the same thing. Let's say y'all been living together in a house, okay? And you moved in with somebody, but your name ain't on the deed, right? Your name ain't on the mortgage. If there's a breakup, and even though you've been sitting there for 7 years, really supporting that household, making sure, paying half the mortgage, half the insurance, half the utilities, y'all worked it out, and then you break up, you have no equity. Whereas if you're married, you got equity in that bad boy. I mean, it comes down to it. And I've never been divorced. I've asked people who've been divorced, does the judge ask you if you still love each other? Now, the judge could care less about that. What the judge want to know is, can you work out these differences that you all have? And if you can work out those differences, bam, okay, then y'all stay married. If not, because they give you that even after the divorce decree, I think it's 6 months, the so-called cooling off period, to make sure that you absolutely want to do this, because when you're married, now we're talking assets and liabilities.
Yeah, it's business now.
It's business now. And that song we were talking about yesterday,
But I mean,
transactional.
What happens with an annulment? How long does an annulment need to happen? How quickly?
Technically, what an annulment was that for some reasons you should have never got married. This makes annulments complicated today because
like a lemon warranty.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of, and for whatever reasons, now it used to be you didn't consummate the relationship. That could be the number one reason for an annulment.
If you do, then it's annulment probably technically be out the window.
It could be. It's usually the Catholic Church though that does annulments because of their not prohibition. Would it be a prohibition? But yeah, prohibition on divorce. And so the Catholic Church would offer that relief.
Let's just say the clerk of courts or the courts system, an annulment has to go through them, correct?
Yeah, well, some kind of way you have to figure out how you dissolve the marriage. So let's do annulment in Wisconsin. Annulment in Wisconsin. Okay. What is an annulment? What is an okay? There are two main ways to formally end a marriage: annulment and divorce. An annulment declares that the marriage was never valid, while divorce legally concludes a valid marriage. So an annulment could be
that he was already married
to someone else and still legally married to someone else, right? And
but what else declares it not legal?
Let's see.
That's interesting. Other than him or he.
Well, I think that's where that piece in the wedding vows. Can anyone come with any reason why
these two should not be?
But,
our people, we use it for other reasons. Because he used to date my cousin Shaquita, and he got 2 kids by her, and he don't do nothing for them. He ain't seen them kids, he ain't been by there. Or I still love him, and he know he was just with me last night after the what they call that? After the big vote? No, it wasn't after no big vote. He's after the big vote. It was after the bachelor party.
Okay. Reasons for an annulment. Grounds for annulments include failure to consummate the marriage, mental incompetence, or impotence.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. He can't satisfy her. So I want out. I want out. I thought he had some.
There should be some more annulments.
He lied to me.
Listen to Community Voice. The phone lines are 414-444-5250. Boy, the stuff we learned. We take a quick break. We'll be right back. Good morning.
I'm on the road today.
Okay.
I called this. I called this morning about Carl Malone, who donated 6 truckloads to Hurricane Katrina, and now I didn't know I'd be calling in for this, but I got a joke for you.
Okay. Well, a couple of things. No profanity.
Oh no, I don't go that way.
Okay. Cool.
I'm Reverend Blank Blank.
Oh, hey, Reverend Blank Blank. All right, go ahead, man.
I got to say Reverend Blank Blank because I don't want to reveal my true identity. But I just want to know. I just want to know what love got to do with it. Have a good day.
Was that the joke?
Not a damn thing.
Was that the joke? Wow, I completely missed that one.
Real talk, though. After the love is gone, I mean, it's real talk. Let's get back because Debo asked me a question about are there
please preface this because we're not trying to give any ideas to people of how they can get out of their marriages or nothing.
We're providing a community benefit.
Yeah, real-time information, real talk, real-time information. That's all we're doing.
They wasn't waiting on me to talk about it. What was some TD said? He said by the time they come to me for counseling, they'd already made a decision.
It's too late.
It's too late. They just going through the motions now. All right. Okay. So when to get an annulment, and this is from Forbes Advisor. Okay. Because the requirements for an annulment, attaining one is not always possible. It only gets granted in certain situations, including the marriage occurred through fraud or coercion. What am I troubled by? Which word? Fraud or coercion?
I think
both of them are problematic.
I was going to say both of them.
Okay. One spouse is not able to have children and lied about it.
Yeah, that's a good reason to want out.
What about the one who said that they couldn't have children and lied about it and then got pregnant?
That's a good reason to want out if you didn't want any.
All right, this is the low-hanging fruit. One spouse was legally married to someone else at the time of the marriage.
Yeah.
Okay. One or both persons were underage and unable to consent legally at the time of marriage. That would be in the state of Wisconsin. There is no age of consent in Wisconsin.
Yeah, because the parent has to sign for it.
Parents have to sign for
underage. So let me ask you that. Let's say both of them were underage and both of their parents signed off for them to be married.
They're fine.
But then they can then say that we were underage as a way to get out?
As my understanding is minors cannot legally enter into a contract. Marriage is a contract. That's why you have the consent of your parents. In Wisconsin, that's covered by what we call custody, right? If you have, let's say the parents are not together, you both parents, if they have joint custody, they both have decision making when it comes to allowing that child to get married. And there are other things where they're like legal contracts. We don't think of them as contracts, like joining the military.
But Keith,
you have a contract agreement with the U.S. government.
So I mean, do you hear what you're saying though? Let's say, for instance, this girl is 16 and her mama signs off for her to marry this guy. So in essence, he now has custody of her, is what you just said.
No. I'm saying the parents, because of their custody rights, then
they can sign off.
They can sign off, or they can say no. Driver's license.
I get it. But because she's still not of age, because it's weird how Wisconsin works. That same person has to get the mother's permission for her to marry. Now, once he marries her at 16, 17, what have you, he could take her in the bar and she can sit there and drink with him all day long.
Can she?
Yes.
I know minors can drink with their parents.
Yeah. So if she's with her husband, she can drink with her husband. He is her guardian. That's why I said custody.
No,
sure he is.
What if he's a minor?
He's not gonna be unless his mama had to sign off too.
That's what I'm saying. So let's say they both are minors, and that's what it says here, that they were both minors. So one or both were underage and unable to consent legally at the time of marriage.
But if somebody consented, then they can say, well, you know what, our parents signed this. We didn't really want to do this.
I guess because Wisconsin's
so
a
now we
no-fault
want out.
divorce state, right? It's a no fault. So you don't have to. I don't think you have to cite a reason in Wisconsin to get a divorce. If people, you can tell me if you do. I think it's no fault. So
sometimes I don't think divorce is a bad thing. Because if you can't live together, rather than to stay there and make each other miserable, or somebody end up getting hurt or something, you know, then go your separate ways.
And that's what makes. I think first of all, we have so romanticized. This is really a modern notion. This idea that folks should be in love with each other in order to get married. This is really a modern idea. That wasn't the case in the past. In the past, you know, you had situations, you still do see it in certain countries, where the bride, the family has already decided this is who the young woman is going to marry. This is who he's going to marry.
That arranged marriage.
But I think
you see that in other cultures, like
but see, we have our own arranged
stuff like that.
We have our own arranged marriages here too. Because of, okay, here's the thing that I'm just going to be real honest. It's after 10.
It's after 10.
Yeah, that's when we can start having adult conversations.
Oh, because the kids are in school.
They all should be in school, other than those who are skipping school. We have churches that want their pastor to be married.
Okay.
That pastor, and I can say certainly in the African-American community and even the white community, these are overwhelmingly, clergy is overwhelmingly male, right? So there's this fantasy that congregants have that if the pastor is married, he or she then, I don't know where they got this from, he or she then are going to be faithful to, you know, they're going to have this model marriage. That's not the case. And then when you look at what we have discovered, our life, what we discovered is
what Facebook and YouTube and
even before Facebook
and
I mean, these pastors are human beings.
Yeah, but we're getting so further into how widespread it is.
Yeah,
I mean, we might have heard about some preacher ran off with sister so and so and left his wife, and I mean, because I know of a few situations that right here in the meal.
Oh, but even before Facebook, that information gets out.
No, but I'm talking about, nationwide now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people blasting it out. You hear about people that.
Well, I think you know it quicker, but it gets out. I mean, certain scandals. First of all, we love scandal. We love scandals.
Of course we do.
I mean, we love to see other people going through stuff, and so we love to see other scandals. Not so much our own, but certainly others. And so this idea that if the pastor's married, he or she's going to be faithful to their mate, that's not true. That's never been true. You know, so I think it's an unrealistic expectation. And so when a marriage is an enterprise of two human beings, and so those individuals are dealing with whatever human issues that they're dealing with, right?
Let's just, since we.
But let me say real quickly on this piece. Okay, go on.
No. Since you say we're keeping it real, anytime, and I'm just going to venture to say that be it male or female, anytime you're in the limelight, and you like DJs, they get all the attention when the girls come to the club. They want to holler at the DJ. So the pastor, Carvey, he's an entertainer. He's a rapper. Me with my band. There's always going to be that attention that affords you.
You didn't mention me in my radio program.
Well, just Carvey, did you get that face I just did when he said that? No, just you know, what do you want me to say?
Carvey's a performer. Devo got a band.
Keith, but think about it. Even you sang in the choir.
Well, I wasn't getting any rhythm from that.
You play basketball.
I wasn't getting any rhythm from that.
I'm trying, man. You got to help me out here now. Come on now. Where'd you get your rhythm?
Being president of the Black Student Union in college.
Okay.
That's when I started getting rhythm. But in high school, I was getting no rhythm. I was president of the student body. I didn't get no rhythm. I was on the basketball starter. I didn't get no rhythm
at Parkman.
Oh man, Parkman, I got rhythm. I got nothing at Parkman. Absolutely not a crickets at Parkman.
Wait.
There are people.
Wait, I got to do it since you said it.
Where's Keith's rhythm? So I ain't gonna lie about just how great I had it. I love Parkman, but dude, I mean, there's 2,400 students there, and wait a minute, a whole lot of more talented students than me at Parkman. So no, man, I was so low.
But you get my
I hear what you're saying, right?
As far as when you're in leadership and you're in the limelight, people
are attracted to perception of power or power.
Exactly.
So people go, well, why are all these people around Donald Trump and they know he screwed up? They have proximity to power. And I will disregard any kind of fact and reality because I'm more driven by power. And power is a more powerful drive than sex.
And I think about places like, and I'm just going to put it out there, you have congregants and different ones who are in these churches who hold these positions and what have you, and they could know that their pastor's wrong, but because of their own self-preservation, they ain't going nowhere. They're gonna be right there. Oh, I don't believe my pastor would do nothing like that. But behind closed doors, they like that. I know. Well, I knew what was going on all the time.
I'm gonna tell you. I went over and I was preaching for a buddy. He had just got there, and I was trying to give him a little bit of advice. I said, right now you're in this honeymoon. Oh, my pastor, love my pastor. Oh, pastor, love my pastor. Pastor, love my pastor.
Hey, pastor, how you doing?
Piss her off. The pastor. So you went from my pastor to the pastor. DA, thank you. The pastor. It's like the crusher, the pastor. So it and that's the problem. I'm a Baptist. So Baptists elect their pastors. Other faith traditions, they're assigned by a hierarchy. But because of the autonomy of the local church in the Baptist church, that means that I had gone and preached for a buddy of mine, and he hadn't watched the video. He said, now they ain't gonna be calling no meetings, are they?
About something you done got up there and said.
Yeah, because Baptist people will call a meeting in a New York minute. Oh, we'll call it. Somebody says, so do Methodists. I can't speak for that tradition. I can tell you, though, for us, and then what we call meetings for. We got a world out here dying. Ain't nobody called a meeting about that. Okay, but let the pastor piss off somebody, as you just pointed out, in a power position in that church. Oh, we can call a meeting. Oh, we got to the point where,
and he could be out of there.
Oh,
depending on who vote with it.
Just saw it happen a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I mean it.
Who got let go a couple weeks
ago? It wasn't here.
Yeah.
It wasn't here. But I'm just saying that it and look, and I've seen, man, I've been there where new pastors come in, and I ain't gonna say everybody loved them. I ain't gonna say that. What I have discovered,
you got to come in right when you do that, because
you can come in right.
No. Here's what I'm saying: you got to get the right congregation where a lot of them are old and they dying off, and you start bringing your people in. You get a bunch of your family in there. I'm not trying to tell you how to do it, but you get all your family in there, and you get them in them positions and stuff, and that's how you end up staying there.
I think the late Joe Madison learned this experience when he was working with the NAACP in Detroit. And he said someone told him that you have not, and I'm paraphrasing, do not underestimate the cunning of older people.
Yeah, that's why I say you got to.
He said that you think like, one of the big issues right now, just read an article in New York Times Sunday about how we have a younger generation who are not even going to church. Never been to church, have no plans of going to church. Okay. And they were saying in this instance, especially in the Black church, one of the things that happened in the Black church and still is happening was a certain level of exposure to political issues in the community. Right. So they're saying that here's an avenue that you might have to reach people, primarily if you're talking about the black church, that avenue in terms of reaching young people, that ain't where you go now. I mean, you could not, that program that Wisconsin Voices did, they had to do it at a place like Turner's because to attract the people they wanted to come to, which are younger people.
Right.
That ain't gonna happen. Trying to bring them in the church because that is just not a frame of reference that they have. My late friend Elder Ron Banks, I asked him when he was pastoring, I said, so on Resurrection Sunday, what do you preach about? He said, I may or may not do a resurrection message because many of the people I'm pastoring have no cultural or biblical reference to any of that, and so I think that that's a part of it. And then I also think that people they'll say things, but they don't quite either clearly understand what it means, what they're saying. So you hear people say, we need more younger people at church. Yeah, I agree. But you're not prepared for what does that mean.
Right.
Because if nothing else, the volume is going to be turned up. And our old behinds don't want the music loud.
Right.
Okay. The energy level is going to be higher.
Yeah, and you're exactly right, man. I remember when the more people say, "He beating them drums too loud."
Yeah,
you got that guitar turn all the way up like that. That don't make no sense. Don't take all that.
Right.
It don't take all that.
Right. Because we and so now you have to have this balance between understanding that there is an aging population, and here's the other piece, talking about the aging population is the financial support of the church.
It is. That's your base. That's your backbone.
That is. I could tell you my late friend Pastor Reggie Moore. He went to Jeremiah Church, and he was attracting a whole lot of young people because Reggie just could bring it that way. And but the difference was they wasn't paying no money.
And he wasn't seeing it in that offertory or tithes. You don't see the difference.
And look, there are legitimate reasons for why that's the case. One, let's say that you have people between the ages of 18 and 40, 18 and 45. A lot of them still probably have children, right? So I mean, there's some cost things out there. Now people, you just make the sack. I'm just saying that there's some competing things. Look, 18 to 40-year-olds, some of them are still kicking it pretty hard. So the fact that you got them in church in the first place, that was good, which is real different in the North than in the South.
Yeah, because South, they're going to church.
They're going to church in the South. We up north, man,
they get out all night long, but they're going to church.
They're going to church and going to bring their tithes. I mean, but we've got...
That's culture, though. That's real. We've kind of gotten away from it.
Right.
From it here. And the other part of it, too, Keith, and I don't know how well it would work when you're not the, if you will, founder of a church, to have succession plans in place, because it's really not up to you. It's up to the body because you're not the founder. So therefore you can be ousted.
Yeah. But if, depending on how the founder set it up, he or she could, I mean, it might take a little bit more work. I think the other thing is then people say, look, I don't have to get you out. I just stop giving. Yeah, and you see a whole lot of people, they talk with their wallets. And so it's difficult. I was listening to Michelle talking about, that, she's down with black people, and so am I. But that does not mean that, you're going to have situations where, and this ain't because this happens at white churches too. But it's real interesting to me because Debo brought up a great point. If people love their pastor, he or she I think sometimes give wide leadway. It was interesting when Eddie Long went through what he went through down at New Birth and the allegations of abuse. And at first people didn't leave. They didn't leave. And even then, when a lot of the salacious details came out, he began to see a trickling of people leaving, and then a trickling turned into a flood. Because at this point, it had gotten, and there were other things that were going on in that church. There were issues about some financing, that there was a scam that this dude came in and Eddie Long was part of in terms of congregants investing in bogus or making investment in bogus companies. So there was a lot there, but he didn't immediately lose congregants. Like I said, it started off as a trickle, and then when he came out and settled, that was it. Then people were kind of going like, well, if he settled, there must be some truth to it. And I think that people kind of then backed away. But churches are institutions formed by human beings, managed by human beings, which means that then it will have the benefits of humanity, but then it will also have some of the deficits of humanity. And you would think that if we talk about this idea of loving our neighbors, forgiveness, and even going back to, I'd always suggest that any young aspiring minister and they're called to the ministry, I think the first sermon that they should preach, not for me to tell them what they should preach, is to go in and examine Jesus in the wilderness and what that was and those temptations. And we just kind of go like, oh, he rejected. I think you need to focus in on what those temptations was: popularity, power, and then I'll use the word prosperity. So it came down to people, you being popular, you having power, and you having money. Those things, if not managed well, can corrupt you. That is the temptation. It will corrupt you. And the fascinating thing about even the temptation didn't happen when Jesus was in those 40 days in the wilderness. The temptation happened when Jesus came out, and after a 40-day fast, being physically and emotionally exhausted, which means that then he was more susceptible, theoretically, to suggestion. And that was the whole thing, that it prepares us for moments of stress. There's a thing, me and DJ go back and forth. I heard George Leftwich, who was a mentor of mine when I was at Mount St. Mary's. He was a coach at John Carroll High School. John Thompson's a proud alum. Archbishop John Carroll High School in Washington, D.C. And this is where, and it changed my life. He says, Keith, when fatigue sets in, habit takes over. When fatigue sets in, habit takes over. And so what he's saying is, in a stressful situation, I don't know if you ever noticed this, that sometimes you just tired and you're taking a route, and I've done this. I'm taking a route that would be normally the route that I take to work, but I'm going to the store and I'm just exhausted. And so I put it on automatic. And next thing I know, I'm sitting in front of the office like, why am I here? Then I realized, oh no, you're supposed to go to the store. But that was my habit. So we talk about those folks who are, when we do suicides, everybody knew what those suicides were, those sprints that you run from one point to another point, run back. Well, and I talked to my coach, Coach Strack, and one of the things that we did at Dominican was we ran those suicides and shot free throws. Ran suicides, shot free throws. Ran the suicide, shot jump shots. Why were we doing that? Because what we were doing was working on good habits, good form, even when I'm exhausted. So when that stress kicks in, when the exhaustion kicks in, what should automatically happen is hopefully good habits that were developed in preparation. Games come down to the last 2 minutes, and the person who's able to breathe and able to think are usually going to be more successful. But I would suggest that, because I'm going to tell you, it was for me when I first answered the call to ministry at 18 years old, and this is back in the 70s. I had 3 different Bibles. Chains, I had the crosses. I was just so sincere. Oh, Lord, I was so sincere. And then I found out I'm still a human being. You're listening to Community Voice. The phone lines are open, 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. Quick break. We'll be right back. Debo asked me, had asked me a very interesting question off air about, whether if anything happened, I'm just speak for me in the relationship, and let's say, um, God forbid, something happened where my wife and I are no longer together, and he said he couldn't see himself with anybody else. I said I could. 'Cause-
I
and my
can't.
wife had told me, I'm gonna hunt you. I'm gonna hunt you. You know what I told her? I'm gonna move. So if you can keep up with me, because it's like, why you moving again? Oh man, that ghost has showed up again,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Again, we need to
She
get
found me again.
She found me again.
But no, I mean,
And I told her, if you meet somebody else after I'm dead, go for it. I'm dead.
why you got to be dead? What if y'all just decide you can't be together anymore? Then is it okay for her to move on and remarry?
I think that might trigger something.
See, that's what I'm talking about. You don't want to see it.
You're right. That might trigger some. I was telling the joke, and I don't know if this is true for you. I said, your woman don't get fined until somebody else pay attention to her.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Excuse me. She with me?
He was just telling me how nice I looked in my outfit.
I'll tell you.
I told you that before we left the house.
That's my job. That's my job.
You don't never tell me how nice I look. You don't never compliment me. I do. If I don't tell you you don't look good, then that means you look good.
I never said you didn't.
That part.
All right. Let old pretty Tony Suave come up.
Yeah. One of them old Carvey P's.
Carvey P.
After 10.
Yeah. Hey, Carvey, I got some candy for you.
Yeah. I got some candy.
This dude, I got some candy for
and
you,
it's
girl.
fresh.
Girl, you won't get over here. Call welcome to the program.
Well, good morning. First thing I was going to say, if the marriage is no good, let it go. Because if you don't, y'all going to start cheating on each other and somebody going to end up tricking, and it's going to be outside babies, just like some of these pastors in the church.
Uh-oh.
Things cannot be fixed if the pipe is already busted and it's already broken. Only thing you both going to just go down a rabbit hole. Number two, I could never understand why people will put a pastor on a certain level, because he's human just like
to get out of a situation,
Okay.
to manipulate a situation,
Like telling me you could have a baby and you couldn't, and I married you.
right? Or that you had when you only had.
I'm gonna get you, sucker. y'all was talking about Big Red this morning. He was also in I'm gonna get you, sucker.
Yeah. What role did he play in I'm gonna get
He
you?
was the guy that would bought the weapons from. Remember had the patch over the eye?
Right.
Yeah, Big Red. How could and that's I love that about there's certain things that certain people go in and they can steal a movie. And I think with who do you think the most memorable characters were in the 5 Heartbeats?
5 Heartbeats for me was most memorable. Big Red would be number 1 probably.
Number 2 is
Just-
Diane Carroll. Diane Carroll.
Yes, she was,
Diane
but
Carroll.
but he was just so rotten to the core.
Oh, that dude.
And it ain't like he was throughout the movie, but the parts he was in,
Oh my God,
he played them.
He played them. I mean, there's certain people that you go and you watch a movie. I'll give you one. Danny Glover.
Mm-hmm. In what movie?
Color Purple.
Oh, absolutely.
Color Purple. Yeah, I mean, if you look at someone and he wasn't the star of the movie, but man, that dude got branded. There's still black women today that hate Danny Glover, right?
Look how they did your girl, the way she played in the movie with the big girl that was stealing the chicken because she was hungry.
Oh, Precious.
Monique never really recovered behind that.
Yeah, but Monique had some other things going on.
But man, when they said she played that role too.
Oh, she did. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, she was. That movie was just so incredible. And the people say the stuff that we laugh at because I was talking to somebody. We was talking about Precious, and 2 scenes that really stood out to me in this very, very troubling movie. And thank God, because it allowed a certain level of comic relief because this is a very heavy movie. I mean, this is a very heavy story. When her and Monique jumped on her and threw the TV at her, and then Monique go upstairs and sit down to get ready to turn on the TV and only realize she just threw it at her daughter.
That was.
But when Precious was running up the street after she stole that bucket of chicken,
really key. But that's see that's the reality for somebody right now.
Right, real talk.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. The movie
right now,
it was sad because she was hungry.
Because they was hungry,
but she was still running, eating, and she was running. She didn't stop. She was running, eating the chicken. Oh my God! All right, who else has kind of stood out? Just kind of stole a movie where you kind of go like, oh man, Tiffany Haddish, Girls Trip.
Yeah, that was another.
That was her breakout role. Yeah, she really kind of just her energy, her persona in that movie. I mean, that opened up the door.
Have you ever watched Howard Rollins Jr. in Ragtime?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's a very long movie.
It's a great movie though.
James Cagney's in there.
That's right, and he was nominated for Academy Award for that, wasn't he?
I don't.
Howard Rollins, I thought he was. Yeah.
That was a good movie.
Ragtime was good. Let's see. I'll tell you somebody else in the 5 Heartbeats. Obviously, Big Red. Yeah, and we mispronounced his name, Ed King Jr.
Eddie King.
I'm sorry, Eddie King. When he showed up in the 5 Heartbeats.
I still got it. Yeah. He had issues.
Oh, he had issues, man.
Yeah, he had real
and
issues.
that line from his daddy.
That stole the movie for me.
That was just I ain't.
No, he said he ain't, and he ain't gonna be
because I ain't. Oh man, that was deep.
Yeah, he said he ain't sugar honey iced tea. Cause I ain't sugar honey iced tea.
Okay. Excellent. Samuel Jackson and Django.
Yeah.
Steven. to the point that
Yeah.
wasn't that Keon's nickname for me? I called him Silas, the slave that could read. He called me Stephen. That was a good one. Anyway, phone lines open. Somebody, and they weren't the star of the movie.
Is that Kurt? Yeah, that's Kurt Harris. Man, that was funny though when he said, "All the niggas get out." He went to him. No,
Not you, Stephen.
not you, Stephen.
Hey, wait a minute. We found out Stephen didn't need the cane.
Boss, who that nigga on that mare?
And then again, Samuel L. Jackson. He wasn't the star of it in The Time to Kill. Yeah, that courtroom scene is. I'm gonna tell you somewhat. Because I'm not a big Will Field, but
was he the star of the movie or was in a Time to Kill? Who was supposed to be the star?
Matthew McConaughey.
Okay.
Even though they were talking about it was that white lawyer who saved a black man.
Yeah. But that part when he's talking to the jury,
Mhm.
he said, "Can you see it? Close your eyes. I want you to imagine this. Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? Now just imagine and been urinated on it, and then just imagine. And now imagine she was white and walked off."
What's her name? She won the Academy Award for The Help. Beautiful, big eyes.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. I can't think of her name.
And she was in a supporting role, and she kind of stole the movie. Can't think of her name now. She was also
She's the one that made the pie for the lady, ain't she?
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Let's see who else is kind of you go in the movie. Oh, Ali, not Will Smith. Jamie Foxx.
Yeah,
playing.
Jamie's such a strong actor.
He played Drew Bundini Brown.
Yeah, but he's such a strong actor. I mean, after he did Ray, it was when I really just saw the strength and how this boy can act.
Okay.
Because you could look at that movie and think you were really looking at Ray. I mean, he really
he played him.
Turned into a role.
And then and I don't know if people Bridesmaid, Melissa McCarthy, that really put Melissa McCarthy on the map in Bridesmaid. So there are roles out there where you go and you think this person is, and then something will happen and you kind of go like, wow. I'm gonna go back. Let's go old school, y'all. I tell you, stole the movie. Richard Pryor in The Mac. Richard Pryor in Lady Sings the Blues, Piano Man. They said originally when he came in, he only had 2 lines. They ended up, because he was so good, end up expanding the number of lines that he got in that movie. And who played Billy D. Williams would have been considered a star of that movie.
And Lady Sings the Blues.
Yeah, what you gonna let my hand fall off? Couldn't find out that even though Billy D. Williams did it in such a way, Mr. McKay, in real life, Mr. McKay was the one who dropped the dime on her, and she caught the drug charge, her husband. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
What's happening?
I can't think of his name, but the actor that played the sergeant in A Soldier Story.
Oh, Adolph Caesar. Yeah, there's another one. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Always one of my
Sarge.
He recently passed away, didn't he?
Yeah, Adolph Caesar. And he played that role on Broadway. He's one of the people that they brought over from Broadway when he played. But yeah, he sure did. Adolph Caesar, Sarge. And man, you hated that dude.
Yeah.
And I think that carried over to The Color Purple when he played Mister's daddy.
Oh,
yeah. You gonna let that woman talk you like that your own house, boy?
Great actor.
That dude looked just like my grandfather. He looked just like Brinkley Smith, just little. And then when he was gonna fight the dude, and he got I shouldn't call it this, but I'll call it because that's what we call it. Had the beater on, and you can see how little he was. Sarge got a little. Yeah, that's right. Adolph Caesar. That's
he was good.
Yeah. You think any other movie where there was somebody kind of came in and you just they were the
what was the guy's name who was the dance instructor in that same movie? I think we're talking about, wasn't he in the 5 Heartbeats?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's one of the Nicholas brothers.
Yeah,
He was
taught
Sarge.
him how to dance and
Yeah, I'm
everything.
trying to think, but he was a
Hold my
Nicholas.
cane, I'll kick your ass like
Yeah,
it's
oh
stone or
yeah,
something.
yeah. He was. I think that's the one that was married to Dorothy Dandridge.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a Nicholas.
Oh, okay.
One of
okay.
Nicholas brothers. Yeah, yeah. He was.
You know, when you certain actors, man, and I guess what does it for me is the believability and how they get into the role, and you can just see it, and they fit. That you know, when you start casting, you can see people in that role.
Is his name Lil Rio, the comedian?
Lil Rel.
Lil Rel. He stole Get Out.
Sure
Remember,
did.
he was a security guard. He was his buddy.
Right.
And his scenes were, I think that kind. He was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
mean, I'm sorry.
anything Denzel playing, that's
Well, Denzel was very good in A Soldier Story. Remember, he played Peterson.
right.
Who?
What's the one that Sarge fought with?
Martin Lawrence. Oh man, he's great. I'm just trying to think of the movie that Martin Lawrence, where he wasn't the star of the movie, and he turned out to be every now and then people get real lucky, and their role will be like, wow, just kind of put them on the map. They kind of Viola Davis. In the movie she did it was on The Priest Who Was Molester with Meryl Streep and what's his name? Seymour. Can't think that guy's name now. He passed. But she was nominated for Academy Award, and all she did was cry, which she does in every movie. I have yet to see a movie that Viola Davis is in and she didn't cry.
All right, brothers.
All right, appreciate you, man.
No, that sounds of a quality actor
That's a great actor.
and or actress.
That's why I was saying that Stacey Dash in House Arrest, there's a scene where that girl cried and she was raining tears. And you might not like her politics, but the fact that she was able to cry on cue like that, and I'm not talking about those tears, or I'm talking about they were just flowing.
I had a friend of mine. Well, I did a play with a gentleman. He was G. He used to sing in Silk.
Okay.
And we did a play together here locally with Woodson III. And
is that Big Thighs, Sweet Potato Pies? Is that my guy?
Yeah,
okay.
Same producer, but different play. But this guy, man, could cry on cue.
Yeah.
So I mean, how do you do that? He was like, man, you
think about something.
you think something that's really near and dear to you, and it'll get you every time.
Well, he wasn't the star of the movie, but Denzel Washington won an Academy Award for Glory. I mean, now a lot of us believe that, he should have won it for Malcolm X. And then just think about it, Hollywood.
But what was that other one he did? Gangster, the gangster role he played.
American Gangster?
Yeah, I thought that was.
Where he played Frank Lucas?
That was great acting.
Yeah.
That was great acting.
Yeah.
But I guess they didn't want to glorify.
He said when he met with Frank Lucas, he said, I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to glorify you. But there were some moments, because when he took out Enders, shot him middle of the street in Harlem and kept on moving, gave him his money and kept on moving, went back, sat down, just like nothing happened. And all those people on the streets, did nobody see nothing happen. No, because I think a lot wanted to see this dude. My guy, Michael K. Williams. Michael K. Williams.
What did he play?
He was Omar in The Wire.
I never really got into The Wire.
Oh man, The Wire is great. They considered The Wire one of the greatest television series of all time. It is good. But he played. Omar came from this secondary dude to, I mean, you be looking for Omar. You'd be looking for Omar. And then the whole thing that I thought was just so interesting about whether life is random. All these people that Omar had beef with in the streets, Omar ended up getting killed by a 14-year-old who just walked in, saw him in the store, shot him in the back of the head. And anybody who's a fan of The Wire, nobody saw that coming. I know I didn't see that coming. I was like, whoa, okay. But yeah, that he.
Did somebody send him?
Huh?
Did somebody send him?
Mm-mm. He just they didn't say. I'll have to go back and find that episode, but it doesn't sound like anybody. It sounds like this kid just saw Omar. I'm gonna get a reputation. Bam, take him out.
I tell you who stole a movie for me was Pinky. Shut up! Who sent you?
I'll blow your head clean off.
Say another, and it's on.
Clifton Powell played Pinky.
Who sent you?
And
he
then
started telling him to shut up, but then he asked him a question.
Right. And then of course, and Pinky was great, but of course, Money Mike.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Cap Williams.
Yeah,
I mean, he did Money Mike. I'm a boy, Damon. And speaking of Terry Crews, Terry Crews really stole white chicks. I'm amazed at how many people know about like we're not supposed to like white chicks, y'all. We're not supposed to like white chicks, but white chicks is.
You mean the movie?
Yeah.
That was the Wayans boys, wasn't it?
Yeah. We're not supposed to like white chicks, but man, that line, huh? No, that line, Carvey, that line where he says that once you go black, you're gonna need a wheelchair. Hi, Latrell. And the woman comes in a wheelchair. All right, you're listening to Community Voice. We out of here?
Out, man.
Oh, man. It seems like that time just really blew by. Let me thank everybody for being part of the program today. Debo, thank you. Carvey, thank you. Good Lord, willing, Creek don't rise. Hope to talk to everybody tomorrow. And as always, go from this place in peace.